Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now, let the stories begin. Oh my goodness, am I so excited for today. I don't even know, I'm not even going to give a huge introduction because you're going to all be blown away when you get to realize the voice on the other end of this is the most beautiful, precious, and I just found out probably a kindred soul sister of mine, and you'll find out more about that. But Mikaela Hoover, thank you, my love, for being with me today.
What an amazing introduction. Wow. Thank you. I am so honored to be here. David, your brother, has just spoken the world of you. So it's so nice to finally meet you.
Well, I can't believe that once again, we're going to have to give kudos to my wonderful brother, right? And we're going to send him a note afterwards and go,
He's
hey.
pretty incredible. He really, really is.
Well, let's start there because actually, this is why I'm so excited is my brother introduced us. And so for people, I do have two brothers. So we're talking about my baby brother, David Dastmalchian, that is an amazing actor, writer, and most of all, an amazing human being. But David,
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, and you two met.
Amazing human being.
It's incredible.
On the set of Belko in Colombia.
Tell me about it. Yeah, tell us about that.
So we did a movie together called The Belko Experiment, which was in Colombia. And David was actually the first one that I remember really, really talking to on set. And I had just come, I was in one of my best friends got married in Italy. So I came late to Colombia, and everybody already kind of had their clicks, when I got there. And your brother was so welcoming and so amazing. I was so nervous because I was in a foreign country and, traveling down there by myself. And he really set the tone for what the experience was going to be. I mean, and the first thing he said was, "You remind me so much of my sister," after 10 minutes of talking, which I think is, I know is such a huge compliment because your brother's so amazing. What I was saying to you is, what did your guys' parents do? They must be the most incredible human beings because you guys are so kind and so welcoming and just, I can't speak higher of
you are
brother.
So precious. You are just adorable.
Really though, I really can't. He's incredible. What did your parents do? What is the story behind that?
Well, I love wait, Mikaela, the best part about this is suddenly now Mikaela's interviewing me.
The worst.
I love it.
Oh man.
I love this. It's just but it's so amazing to hear your voice just oozing with passion around the person he is because again,
he is. He's so talented, first of all, and that it's like everything that he does, he's so talented, he's so driven, he's so passionate, and those are the qualities that you're just drawn to him because of his energy. And everybody that meets him feels the same way. Same with his wife. They have this energy and aura about them that is just, like I said, he made me feel so welcomed. And so I knew he set the tone for what it was going to be like in Colombia. He really did.
Oh, I love hearing that. And you know what I just realized? You just gave me an epiphany. I'm having an aha moment because I'm realizing that this whole interview about you is turning into an interview about David, the third person that's not even here. So I'm going to start a show called The Celebration of Others. And we're going to...
really though, it's funny because when we were one day on, I think it was probably one of my first days, our second days down to set. And I, like I said, was feeling a little apprehensive of being in a foreign country. And after talking to him and him telling me a little bit about his story, and I was telling him, I don't know if he told you this, but my my dream has always been to kind of work in an orphanage, in a foreign country. And I thought that this was my big chance of being in Colombia. So he really is the one that kind of inspired me. When all of us actors had, I think, 6 days off or 7 days off. I'm not sure if he told you this, but I'll just go right into it. I took that 6 days, even though production said, you can't travel by yourself, Mikaela, you're in a foreign country. But I really wanted to work with children while I was in Colombia. And the calling around in Bogota to, find an orphanage or to work with children, it was about a month-long process of them having to screen you and all that, which I was only there for a month. So I didn't have that time. So on that 6 days off, I'm not, I'd say I'm spiritual. I'm not hugely religious, but something was kind of called me to, I found this small little river town. It was about I think a 2-hour flight. And then it was completely random. Like I said, it was like this higher calling. But that 6 days off, I went and kind of stayed in the jungle, and I worked with kids for that 6 days. Yeah, it was, but it's a kind of a testament to who your brother is. He's the one that kind of inspired me to get out there and do it. I'm not sure if MGM will ever hire me for a film again because I was out in the middle of nowhere in Colombia. And I remember we all were on WhatsApp. We all had messages going back and forth to each other. And I had no service where I was. I was literally out in the middle of a jungle. I had no electricity. I had no service. I had no hot water. I was living with these kids. So there was a text chain that said, where's Mikaela, with all the cast and the crew? And someone wrote on there, I think she's in the jungle working with children.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and they were like, what? I mean, this 5-foot girl by herself that doesn't speak very good Spanish is out in the middle of a jungle with children? What? I mean, they just lost it. But it all went well. It was the best 6 days of my life, I can honestly say. Yes, it was absolutely incredible. It was.
Tell me what changed I can just hear it in your voice. And to think, I'm just picturing the production and everybody freaking out, like, you are not supposed to be doing this. And yet you know what I love? I don't want anybody listening to miss this, because I get goosies when I get like overwhelmed. And when you said, I'm spiritual, I may not be really religious, but you know what you just did, Mikaela? You followed that spiritual higher calling, and you use that word. And I always say, we get these nudges. They're from the universe. Yep, they're nudges and when you don't listen, it will wake you up someday. Yes. But when you listen, your life can be transformed. So in that 6 days, I love how the Belko Experiment, which, by the way, wait till everybody see, it just came out. So I'm getting to interview you. Like, it came out yesterday. Right?
Yes, it just came out. Yeah.
Yeah. And we will say it's not for the lighthearted.
And that's the thing is it is very real and it's very gruesome. And I got a little bit depressed while I was there, because when you're, around that environment of a horror movie or of something like that, with all this killing and all this, and you're in a foreign country, I got very, I was, like I said, I was depressed. So I needed to find something that, and I was a little bit, to be honest, I was pretty depressed on where I was in my life. It was a very hard, it had been a very hard year. I knew I needed to do something, and it was just a very, I mean, a lot of people went and did went island hopping in Colombia and did that. But I knew, and I want to go back. It's my dream to go back. But what I did was I went to this little jungle kind of town, and I brought all the money that I had made on the per diem, and I filled my suitcase with like soccer balls and Barbies and shoes. And I didn't even, I didn't even know if it was so weird because Holly, I didn't even know if I was going to find, it was the weirdest. I can't even explain it. I just followed what, my inner voice was saying. And I've never had that. I can honestly say I've never had that. But I just knew it was going to work out. And I remember people saying, you don't even speak Spanish. Like, how are you going to, you can't just go and find a village with children and randomly, they're like, it's so dangerous in Colombia. And I just kept saying, you know what? Love's universal. It's going to work out. It's
and you knew it.
Out.
And you did it. And you know what,
it.
Mikaela, I got to tell you something. And I know I'm quite a bit older, but it's like you're a kindred spirit, like a little sister almost for me right now. And I'm sitting here wanting to just grab you and hug you because what you did was so brave. And so many people.
It didn't seem like that at the time. It just seemed like that's what was supposed to happen. It was so, looking back, I go, so many things could have happened and so much could have gone wrong. And it just, there were, the kids would take every day afterwards and we'd go play in the river. And I found out later that river is this like crocodile infested river. There was so much that could have gone wrong I just trusted it. I trusted the universe. I can't explain it. And I kept saying out loud, and it sounds so cheesy because this is not the person that I am, but I kept saying, my heart is so full right now. I'm so content. It was the most content I've ever been in my life. I have really bad OCD. I've always suffered from OCD with germs and with, always since I was like a little girl. And I brought little, when I met these children, I bought these little baby wipes because they were all very dirty. And I will never touch anyone's feet. I'm like this germaphobe, but I was like cleaning these kids' little feet. Underneath their little toenails and with these baby wipes. And it's like I had no OCD. It was like God just said, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Yep. And everything else went away. Nothing else was important. And they were so happy and so, seeing these, and the parents would cry and, some of the kids had parents, some didn't, some were by themselves, but they were so appreciative. And it's funny when children literally have nothing, they were just so happy. They were so kind to one another. I just saw a very different type of, the simple living that it just, I couldn't have been more fulfilled. It was more for me. It was more a selfish thing for me, but
it was actually, you know what? I love the way you said it was more selfish, but really it was being the ultimate selfless. And in that time of being so purely selfless, your spirit was used in a way to change lives. And I love how you even just were like, oh my goodness, the things that I would never think I'd ever do, like clean dirty feet. You did it, right? Like,
I did it, and I didn't. It was funny. I didn't even, afterwards I go, oh my gosh, I won't touch I wouldn't even touch my boyfriend's feet at nobody's feet. And I'm touching these little kids that I don't even know. And, we spent, one day, all day. They had never seen, my friends make fun of me. I went and brought like different nail polishes and hairbrushes and little girly things too. And we spent all day painting I spent all day painting the little girls' nails and doing their hair and doing all this stuff. And then the boys, of course, wanted it because there's no gender, my girlfriend makes fun of me. She's like, they probably don't even have clean underwear, but you went down there with Barbies and hair clips and nail polish and, but it was so great. It turned, something that had been kind of a more scary experience into something that was just truly amazing.
So let me ask you this. I'm just sitting here in awe right now because you have experienced what most people spend a lifetime wishing or wanting or yearning that they could go do something. I always say, what's your highest calling, right? It's like finding what your highest calling is in this world. And you've done something like this and you filled it. Now I can only imagine what's next for you. Like, what are you planning now, girl?
Yeah. So my goal with that, because I need to go, I've been researching a lot on Guatemala because I know that Guatemala, they're having a really rough time right now. So I think I've gotten kind of big on the Instagram. I'm so not technologically with it. But with Instagram, I've kind of built this large following, and I believe that social media should be used for social change. I think that's the reason that we have social media. And so my end goal, I mean, I'm of course building the followers up. I think I've gone from like 50,000 maybe last year. I don't even know if I was at that to over 450,000. I keep building it. And what I want to do is, document, take video and take something, go down to Guatemala and really do more of this, because that's when I'm the most fulfilled and show people that this is something that is, there's a little bit of, I think, a stigma to it that it's a lot harder. I mean, it is hard, but that it's a lot harder than it is. And that it's like I don't know. I know that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's again, another call. So I have to take some time off and really think about when I'm going to do that and what I'm going to do with that.
Well, you know what's so beautiful about that is that if you think about it, the gift of your brilliance and what you do and what's so beautiful about you right now I see why David loved you. And I see why David said, oh my goodness, sis. I mean, he called me, he texted me, and he emailed me. And he's like, because we text. Great. Well, I have to tell you, like him and Eve are like an iconic, amazing, beautiful.
They are, like I said, their energy is just, I mean, they're just such great people.
They are. And the fact that you got to be with them and the friendships that have been made through this industry. But what I'm falling in love with about you, my friend, is that you're so humble. There's so much grace in your voice. And the people listening, it's like, if you only knew, like she's been an actress doing tons of different things. You've had the gift of being able to use your gifts and do from movies to TV shows. And yet where your heart is realizing all those gifts have given you an opportunity to go fulfill something much bigger.
And that's what I think I mean, as I love acting more than, I mean, it is my passion. But I love helping and being with children even above that. So what I've discovered in Colombia is, because I do have this social platform and because I do have I think it's kind of a social responsibility that we have as entertainers, because people, whether we want to admit it or not, people are kind of looking to us for different things. And I think it's really an injustice when people don't use that. I always say, if the Kardashians wanted to change the world, they could. I mean, they have so many followers and so many people looking up to them. Why are they not doing more? It frustrates me so much. Instead, you see them doing selfies and doing all this like unfulfilling, like, to each their own, but they could do so much with that. They could help so much. And it makes me so sad that they don't. And that is my, that's my end goal, is because like I said, because I have this platform and because I have the people that are watching me or seeing me in things, to use that to help and to create change.
And that is why your life is so fulfilled, right? I like to, and if you think about it, Mikaela, I mean, in what I do out there in the world, I mean, I think it's really helped many people of all ages rekindle the spirit of what is your definition of success and fulfillment. And for you, figuring out this is what life is about, and you're having the opportunity to be around a lot of other people that could have a tremendous influence. You know, I actually loved something you just said. I had to write it down because I think that's a huge takeaway right now for me and for everybody that will be listening. And that is when you said social media should be used for social change.
That's what it's for.
I love that reminder.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, we all needed to be reminded of that. Now, let me ask you something, because the other thing that we found out that we all have in common is that Mikaela and her family and my family are both we're half Persian. Your mother's half Persian. My dad's half Persian, which we don't really get to talk about that with a lot of people. So take me to your childhood. Just for fun, take us through a journey. You started dancing at 2. Is that right?
Oh my gosh, yes. I love dancing. I'd love to get back into it. But yeah, I started dancing at 2 years old, and I grew up in Spokane, Washington. My mom is Persian. My father is Italian, and then there's some Spanish in there as well. But I grew up in a mostly white. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Spokane, but it's very, I was one of the darkest people there, and I'm not that dark. But I, oldest of 4, grew up in a really small town out on the outskirts of Spokane. I couldn't have had a greater childhood. But yeah, my mother is Persian, and I don't think that, again, talking about social responsibility, in Belko, I actually played a Muslim woman, and I had a hijab and everything. So it was funny because when I put that hijab on, the crew, and to no fault of their own, treated me so differently. I don't even think they knew I was the same person. Yes.
Seriously.
And it was such a, because, and this isn't trying to be, but when you're a pretty girl, I mean, this, there's definitely people are very, what would you like to eat? And, on set, they're so they go out of their way, especially the men. And when I had that hijab on, nobody would speak to me. Nobody said anything. Oh my
goodness. I'm in shock right now.
Well, I think it was really a great lesson for me. It gave me so much more empathy towards the Muslim religion. I'm not Muslim, but it gave me this, and again, it's something that I spoke out about on my Instagram, and that I get at least, I was getting hundreds of messages a day because I posted a photo in the hijab, and I talked about my experience, and I said, although I'm not Muslim, this experience gave me so much more empathy and about, kindness and acceptance, and we have this kind of stigma, I think, of the Muslim religion that a lot of Americans do as terrorists and when the reality is, I mean, that couldn't be further from the truth. And these Muslim women are feeling so isolated, I think. And so that was a really powerful, Belko, when I think back to it, I just had so many, it was really,
this was life-changing.
It really was. I turned something that, being in a tough spot in my life, it was very eye-opening in a lot of different ways. And again, I think that because I'm Persian, I do also have that kind of social responsibility to, I remember when, and not to get too political, but although I am pretty political on my social media as well, because I think that right now we kind of have to be, but I remember when Trump was running, I got into an Uber, and it was a man that was from China. He was an immigrant, and he had Trump signs all over his Uber, and was playing, Fox News over his for his radio. And I'm always interested to hear both sides, of where he's coming from, because Trump's so against immigrants. So it was very interesting to
Yeah.
hear his side of it. And not basically, I ended up saying to him, I am Middle Eastern, because he said how he doesn't like Middle Easterns, he doesn't like Hispanics, and he said, if I would have known you were Middle Eastern, I wouldn't have picked you up.
What?
And that really, that of course hit home with me. And I think, again, going back to the social responsibility of it, is I need to, people need to speak more for the Middle Eastern culture right now, because we're, not me personally, because people never know that I'm Middle Eastern. I mean, they never know. So the comments that I hear and the stuff that I hear, I mean, they just think I'm Spanish or, tan. They don't ever think
I know.
that,
I hear the same things, like Greek, Italian, right?
Yes. So you hear I've since Trump's been in office, there's people, I think they had to have always had, this fear and this racism within them. But I think that Trump has done this horrible thing where people feel more like they can speak out about it, and that they can be more vocal about it, and that it's okay. And that's been my own personal experience with it. And I can't even imagine what people that are living here that are Muslim are going through right now. I can't even imagine, because the fear that he is instilling in people, and that, Muslims are bad, and fear and ignorance are two of the scariest combinations. And that's what he's doing right now. So again, a social responsibility is to speak out about that.
Okay, I have to ask you though, what did you do? I'm thinking about what I would have done in that Uber. And I'm dying to know, how did you handle that moment when he said those words to you? Had I known this, I wouldn't have picked you up.
I think I was mostly in shock, and mostly I didn't even think about myself, because like I said, I never really experienced that, because because he said that, because I was like, wow, this person's so ignorant. I feel very bad for him that he's not more educated, of course. But it made me think more of people that do look Middle Eastern and the day-to-day struggle that they're going through. If this guy that was like from China was able to say this to me, and think about what Middle Eastern people across, and LA is one of the most tolerant cities in the United States. So for that to happen is like, how do you think they're feeling across the country? I mean, it was just a very eye-opening experience.
Yes.
So I think it almost, I'm always the type, I can get extremely lippy. But in this situation, I almost felt like this person didn't even deserve for me to even say anything. It was almost like that's his own. I mean, to even say that, I mean, I am in your car and I am Middle Eastern. So if you would have known that I'm Middle Eastern, you would have picked me up. I mean, it was so ignorant that
it was ignorant. You're right.
Yeah,
it's so ignorant. Yeah.
It was so ignorant that you can't even, there's a point where you can't even fight with someone like that. You can't really, I mean, you can educate as much as you feel like you possibly can, but that person didn't want to hear anything. He has his beliefs set in stone that he when it goes as to that far as to saying that, there's nothing that can be said. But little by little, I want to be more vocal in how I am, Persian, and how, because I'd say 80% of people that follow me or follow my career, none of them know this. I mean, I have on social media so many people from Middle America that I'm sure that I have the Persian flag in my bio, but that was something that after Trump, started his Muslim ban and all this stuff, I decided to put that in.
Good for you. Good
yeah,
for you.
and I lost.
I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I lost so many followers from it, but that's what you're supposed to, I don't want those people anyway. But I'd say that a lot of people, they don't know. And it's something that when Trump got in office, I was speaking out so much, and so many people were saying, listen, you have such a big following. I don't think it's a good idea for you to involve politics in this, and for you. And that's not who I am. I mean, I can't keep my opinions with that kind of stuff to myself. It's a different thing to me, it's totally different if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I will be open-minded to both sides, and but to follow a lot of the things that this man is saying with his views, that's something that if I didn't speak out about it, I would feel unfulfilled and be very disappointed in myself.
Well, exactly. And you know what? I keep seeing these words going through as I'm listening to you. It's flashing in front of me because it's something I speak a lot about, especially for women. Like I do men and women, but it's so powerful right now, Mikaela, because one of the things that I help women do is to stand up for what you stand for. And that's such an important thing for me. It's like these pillars that I am very passionate about. And that is about courage, and it's stand up for what you stand for. And I want everybody listening to this. It doesn't matter. I could care less about your political preferences as far as me personally. But what I want you to hear from Mikaela is that it takes people. Stay true to who you are, stand up for who you are, and stand up for what you stand for. And if we are ever going to make any kind of change, regardless of what it is, it's just like what you did. You took the courage, even with a production crew saying, don't go to the jungle. And you were like, I'm going to the jungle, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, every piece of your life has been about you standing up. And I know, because I've heard the same kind of stuff, the more you become in the public eye, the more people, and I say this because I think people have great intention, right? So whether it's an agent or your manager or the people that they care about you and your success, they're giving you advice that they think is and I'm doing quotes with my fingers, by the way, in your best interest, right?
Gosh. Yeah, of course.
Totally. And you're like, no, and I'm willing to take the risk. Because it's not a risk. You're saying I would be not doing myself justice if I don't stand up for this. And you know what? I love that you jokingly, but you were very serious when you said, and I lost followers. And then you said, but I didn't want them anyways.
I didn't know. Yeah.
It's true. It's just like me. The reality is you want the people that are supporting you that you would support in return. And you're
Could not be more true.
And you're in the business of giving your gifts to the world. We get to be the beneficiary of people like you and my brother and other amazing people that are using your gifts to serve and do something extraordinary, but you're not so consumed in that. You're saying, this is who I am as a person, and I'm not going to take for granted the fact that I have the public's attention. And you look at it as a privilege, and what are you going to do with that? And I love that about you.
Thank you. No, yeah, I'd say that my agents and managers have always said kind of stay out of, even like like you just said, when I went to the jungle in Colombia, I think because they think that they're protecting me kind of, that they're like, I get messages all the time of people saying, you're pretty and you're fun to look at. Keep your mouth shut. I mean, that's what you're an actor. Do this, and that is a lot of people's views about, that we're there to kind of entertain and then that's it. And we can't, but I do believe that this has been, like you just said, because I have been kind of put in the public eye, it is my responsibility, and it's who I am, and it's who I'll always be. I can't just sit there and quote unquote look pretty or do my job. I have to, give that social responsibility that I feel is needed.
And you're doing it. And I love that you're doing it. And you're just saying basically, oh, well, everybody, take it or leave it. But you know what? And I have to tell you something. So my brother, I found something that he had sent me, and I have to just share with you what he told me about you, because he just adores you. And he said, you're a ball of light a serious ball of light, and your kindness is infectious. And he said he was so impressed. Are you ready? When you wandered off to explore the jungle, that he was so impressed by your self-reliance, your courage, and your adventurous spirit. And I had to tell you that because sometimes, and I really want listeners to take this away, Mikaela, and I want you to take a moment and truly be a recipient of the gift that I can give you right now. And that is that sometimes we don't realize the example that we are setting for so many other people in the world. So by you making choices to stand up for who you are, to go and do something so courageous because it was so burning in your spirit, and to follow it, and other people. So just like that, the courageous, infectious kindness, your spirit, people are watching. And especially because you're passionate about working with young children. And by the way, I'm totally going in a left field, but I have all these things and I know we're running out of time, but I'm like, I want to make sure I introduce you to Monique Coleman. She's another actress, a very dear friend of mine. You can hear her story, and you two have so much in common. I'm freaking out. You guys need to meet if you don't already know each other.
No, I don't.
And she's really involved in Girl Up and with the United Nations. And you...
Oh, I would love to
You need to be involved. They will...
I would love that.
Yes. I can't wait. I'm going to tell the director, I was just with them in New York last week. I'm going to be like, I know exactly who you need to meet.
I would love that so much. I would love that so much.
Well,
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. There's so many things that I'd love to keep going. And I'm thinking, all right, I know we need to kind of wrap it up, but we might have to do a round 2.
I know. I would love that. I would. But I will say, I mean, thank you so much to your brother, David. I think that it's, you both have that kindness and that energy, and I feel so blessed that I've met both of you. So thank you for that. I'm very grateful.
Well, you just inspired me too. I've been thinking for quite a while. I think it's time that I get to interview my brother.
Oh, have you have not yet? Oh,
no, we have not.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
The world needs to. It's funny because he's so talented, and that's watching his stuff. That's the least of what because once you hear him speak, and once you talk about the most kind heart of any individual. I mean, he is just, he's so educated and so, I'm inspired by him. I mean, like I said, who are your guys' parents? They did such a good job.
Who are those parents?
They did such a good job with you guys because you both are very inspiring people. You need to interview David, and the world needs to know more about who he is as a person, because they already know how talented he is, and they're already fans of his work, but who he is just insane. And
as you're talking about him, I'm getting emotional because I realize that, and I told you before we even started the interview, but the hard part for me will be getting through it without it just being a cesspool of tears, because I'm so proud of that young man. And again, look at how we're connected because of him. And he has a story. His story is riveting. And he has survived, and he stands up for what he stands for. And it's no wonder you two have become such dear friends, and we need more of you in this industry. So,
well, and he inspires me. I mean, so much. He really, I mean, he inspired me. Like I said, in Colombia, I don't think I would have had that kind of courage. And we didn't even, I mean, we weren't even that great of friends. He just, I mean, your listeners will hear once he speaks, they'll get it. I mean, he's just someone that you get it. And he's someone that I aspire to be more like. So, I mean, he really is. I see he's so brave, and I get emotional. I mean, speaking about him, because he just, and little Arlo, to have that as a father, I mean, he is so lucky. So lucky.
Oh, little Arlo is the perfect combination of Eve and David. And I know we could go.
I know.
He is precious.
they're such good people, and I can't imagine how proud you are as a sister to have that as your brother. He's a one in a bazillion. I'll say that.
Wait till he hears this. We're going to tell him, because I told him, I said, oh my gosh, this is working out perfect that I get to interview Mikaela, celebrate you. I had no idea, Mikaela, that we were in for such a treat to hear literally the depth.
So much.
Oh, your spirit is a gift in this world. And I want everybody to know that after they hear this, which was going to be like in the next few days, I also want people to know that don't feel the need, like, be prepared. Don't take children to the Belko Experiment.
No. They go out, they're like, oh, the Colombian experience with the children. They go out and watch it. They're like, no, it's very gruesome.
Right. Just don't go watch that to see what Mikaela does in the jungle. That's a whole different show.
Yeah, it's very different. Very different.
Yes.
But your brother's amazing in that, by the way. And have you seen the movie?
No, it just came out. So my husband and I are going. We're going, I think he's got his tickets for tomorrow. So I think we're going tomorrow. Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart. I'm not very good at watching the I have a very weak stomach when it comes to blood and gore, so I close my eyes through a lot of it. But your brother's the acting is phenomenal.
Which just makes it even so fun, right?
It's even scarier because you almost are like, wait, because the acting's so real, and that it almost makes it. It's not for the faint of heart at all.
Well, and you have an amazing cast. There's some amazing, he was you guys had a really good bond, it sounds like. 'Cause there's amazing actors in this, all of you. And all right, so I have to ask you something that you have no idea I'm going to ask you, but I always end with something that I like to have. And you've shared so much wisdom and so much courage and all of this. I love this, Mikaela, but just very quickly, top of mind, without even having time to think about it, go back to your 21-year-old self, maybe 22 or 23, who you are today. What advice would you give that young woman back at 21 or 22 years old, based on who you are today and what you know?
That it's all going to work out and be okay, and to trust yourself more, I'd say. To really trust yourself. I was a lot more insecure. I think a lot of women are, and to trust that inner voice, because I didn't so much when I was younger, because it wasn't really the popular thing to do. It was like when you're younger, you want to fit in more, and that's the main thing that I would say, is just really trust yourself and who you are.
I love that. What a beautiful way to end this. And what a glorious day. And just thank you. Thank you, darling.
So much. I can't wait to listen to David. That needs to be your next. I can't wait to hear your podcast on him.
All right, I'll get it done. And then I will tell you that everybody that's going to listen to this is going to be enamored with knowing the incredible woman you are, but what you're doing with your life. So thank you for being here.
Holly, so much.
Thank you, darling.
Okay, I will talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.